6:40 a.m. KTIB. It's 5:20 p.m. Live from the fruited plain that is Green Street in beautiful downtown Thibodaux. W.Taylor coming at you here at 5:21. Along with me.
Friday.
Yeah, there. Now we can hear you.
It's Friday. I'm so happy it's Friday.
Are you going to copyright that?
What?
That song.
I'm so happy it's Friday.
I think you got a good jingle there. If you could sell it to Applebee's or something, you'd be in great shape. So.
But it's Friday. So what are you doing this weekend, William?
Well, got to shovel more sawdust.
Okay, besides shoveling sawdust.
Mm-hmm. Well, when Daddy comes back from Mississippi, I'll have to help him unload his saw. So that'll get pretty exciting.
You don't have, like, any crazy, wild thing planned for this weekend?
Well, I remember one weekend I did run my head into a goalpost. That was a lot of fun. Explains why it turned out the way I did. But So that's about as wild and crazy as I've gotten in my life. I did go bowling 2 weeks ago.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. It's Friday. It's going to be cool this week, and it's probably going to rain a little.
Well, it's going to rain a little.
I guarantee it's going to rain, but at least the temperature is going to be a lot nicer than it has been. The rain.
Well, look at today. We in Thibodaux didn't get much rain, but the cloud cover from other showers really has kept it nice and tolerable.
Yeah, it's been nice. It's been really nice, but we do have the two systems in the Gulf we have to think about.
Well, no. One system in the southeast Gulf. And then a second one. You check to see if another mic's on by any chance, Jason, because I seem to be getting some background indications in there. But
that's main feed.
Okay. But anyway, while you do that, the second system is on the east side of the Bahamas.
Okay.
Not in the Gulf. That's moving northwest. It'll affect the eastern seaboard.
All right.
Okay. The thing in the southeast Gulf is very disorganized, very unorganized. And the way it looks right now is that for lack of a better word, it's probably going to stay unorganized for at least maybe 24 hours if it decides to reorganize itself later on. So that's the way things look right now with that system. Some models try to move it to the north and northeast, which would take it to the east of our area, which would be great news. I'll go ahead, folks, and read to y'all what the Weather Service out of Slidell feels that we'll probably have about a 50% chance of rain for Saturday and Sunday, but not from the tropical system, from a continental upper-level trough that's going to move east across our area. But 50%'s not that out of the ordinary for summertime. Excuse me. Sorry about that. That's not totally out of the ordinary for summertime. So, daytime heating showers, I guess you can call it. Maybe some brief heavy downpours from time to time. Now, according to the Slidell Weather Service, models are continuing to persist with the weekly unorganized low over the Gulf. However, models are trying to move this weekly and very disorganized system farther east than before, further eastward along the coast. No organized circulation is detected at this time. However, the future intensity of the system remains to be seen as the upper-level currents may indeed work in our favor, but still need to be monitored for further development. And so that is the way it looks right now. Once again, 20% chance of isolated showers this evening, lows in the mid-70s. 50% for tomorrow with highs around 90, 20% Saturday night, and looks like lows in the upper 70s, 50% Sunday, highs in the lower 90s. Sunday night, 30% chance of rain, lows in the mid-70s, 40% on Monday, and then Tuesday through Friday, rain chances fall down to 20%. So it could get hot and very dry for next weekend, which wouldn't be all that bad, to be honest with you. So that's the update for you, Jason.
Awesome.
And
but make sure you tell everybody, tell them again, to stay tuned to 6:40 a.m. KTIB, the Bayou Regions Information Authority, for all of your weather needs, because should something happen come Sunday or Monday, I can guarantee me, William, will be up here. Joey might even show up. We can make a party out of it, but we will be here watching the weather for all of you. So make sure you stay tuned to us.
Unless you do what I do and just watch Dr. Steve Lyons. That's what I like to do sometimes. See, that's what we do this weekend. Part of my exciting weekend is going to watch Dr. Steve Lyons on the Weather Channel.
Yeah, but that thing's only moving, 5 miles an hour?
If that. It's really just not moving at all.
So, there's no guarantee, not going to say anything for sure, that it's going to turn into anything. It may just sit right over the Bahamas.
And it may get sheared. No, you're getting them, I was going to say sheared apart, but you're getting the two of them mixed up. The one east of the Bahamas is not going to affect us.
At all?
No, that's going to move northwestward towards the eastern seaboard.
Okay.
The one I'm talking about is in the southeastern Gulf.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'm talking about. That doesn't even have an organization for the most part.
We're still going to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Stay on the safe side.
Anytime you have a large cluster of showers and thunderstorms, it needs to be watched. So, anyway.
Might even order pizza.
Well, maybe while I'm watching Dr. Steve Lyons,
You order a pizza?
I might do that.
Go a little crazy, try something new.
Yeah, well, sometimes if I get too lonely, my cat Sam will come over from next door and eat pizza with me.
You have a cat?
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a cat.
Yeah, me and Sam.
Oh, that's cool.
His full name is Samson Thomas Jehoshaphat I.
Ah, well, we have a praying mantis.
Mm-hmm.
A pet praying mantis.
Oh, by the way, my cat does have a nickname.
What?
The living paperweight. He just doesn't want to do anything. He just sits there.
See, life is so easy for those animals.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
anyway.
before we go to Paul Harvey and the break, the New Orleans Saints center Jerry Fontenot, apparently he has agreed not to be a starting center this season.
Why?
Well, because of his age.
How old is he?
Oh, goodness. Well, he's not that old in regular standards. I think Jerry is now 36.
So, is he taking a pay cut because of this?
Well, a little bit less money. Don't worry, he's not going to the poorhouse anytime soon.
I can guarantee you that.
About 300, 400, no, maybe even 500,000 he may be making this year. But, because if you're a veteran, unless you sign a waiver, you have to get paid a minimum wage that increases with each year you're in the league.
Wow, that is an awesome deal.
So either Kendall J. Cox or maybe even LaCharles Bentley could become the regular center this year. I think right now they're leaning to J. Cox. But Bentley's a solid lineman. And last I checked, Will Smith nor Devery Henderson, the Saints' top 2 picks, have signed yet. So they're not practicing in camp yet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to wait till after the commercials and Paul Harvey to do our Saints camp stories. And now, unfortunately, because of some technological problems, folks, I don't have my traditional Friday closing goodbye segment, but we will have a special song to close the show out today with it being Friday. Well, I guess we better take those all-important commercial breaks. This is 640 AM KTIB. The Bayou Region's Information Authority will come back with some funny Saints training camp stories in just a bit on 640 AM KTIB. Why don't you please stay tuned? We'll have a whole lot of fun along the way.
Okay, this is...
640 AM KTIB. William Taylor with Jayson Lee today.
Howdy, everybody.
As he is with many, many days. I guess these are the days of our lives. All we're missing
Days of our lives.
All we're missing is the hourglass and we'd be in great shape.
Yeah, and beautiful women.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway,
Yeah.
that's the point.
Yeah, I guess so.
And was Susan Lucci on Days of Our Lives?
All my children.
All my children. I get it
She's been there
confused.
since the beginning in 1970 when it was created by Agnes Nixon. Don't you know?
The last soap opera I've actually sat down and watched,
Mhm.
one of the plot lines involved demons.
That was Days of Our Lives.
So I'm like,
With Marlena, I think is her name.
I'm going to have... And then there was some cloning going on, and
That-
some guy had a submarine.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, this is a little too far off.
Right.
That's why reality shows have become so popular.
I think so.
Because soap operas got away from reality, and people don't want fancy plot lines. People want nice, simple reality.
Right. Right.
So-
Well, I guess we better start talking about our Saints training camp stories.
Yes. But don't you have a Vanessa story you're going to tell me?
Oh, yeah.
Something happened with Vanessa.
Yeah, well, her and I were going to spend this weekend together,
Uh-huh.
but she's upset unless she's not upset with me, she's upset about her Uncle Mort, M-O-R-T.
Uh-huh. What happened to him?
Well, apparently he got thrown in the loony bin.
For what?
Well, he bought 6,000 pounds of steel wool. Now, normally you don't throw somebody in for that. See,
Uh-huh.
the problem was he tried to knit himself a Volkswagen.
Does this run in the family?
On her side, no, he's the exception.
Okay. Just checking, man, because,
Mm-hmm.
wow, you'd have some crazy kids.
Mm-hmm. Just whatever you do when you see her, don't make fun of her dumb beret, okay?
Her beret?
Yeah. Don't do that. That's a real sore subject with her.
All right. So what's your,
Oh, you want some story?
I got a story for you.
Well, wait, what is it about, though?
It's about training camp when the Saints were at Nichols.
Oh, okay.
One of the things that the Saints did, and they were staying in Ellender Dorm.
Now, okay, well, you make sure it's something verifiable now.
I heard this from different sources, like 4 or 5 different people.
Well, we're far removed, so okay, I'll let you get in trouble.
So, yeah, I heard that they were playing paintball inside the dorms.
Well, I've never heard that one.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But
especially if you don't have to clean up the mess.
Exactly.
You know, I got a great one for you.
All right.
Shows you how naive some players actually are, how thick-headed. You know, like that commercial for the root beer, how thick-headed can you be?
Yeah.
Okay, 1987, Saints' first draft pick was a guy named Sean Knight out of Brigham Young University. He set a few records for his school when he was over there. And I still remember when Coach Moore had his press conference when they drafted him that day, he said, anytime you can get a big, fast, quick defensive lineman, you better take him.
That sounds like an oxymoron right there. Big and fast.
But here's the problem. It turned out to be a huge bust. He decided he was going to hold out for all the training camp and in the preseason, okay? Well, during his holdout, this was when Saints camp was in Hammond, Strawberry Stadium, where the black gold scrimmage is going to be, by the way, 1 week from tomorrow. And while these guys are busting their butt out in the hot Hammond sun, there's a gate, a side gate at the stadium, and while these guys are sweating midway through morning practice, who else comes walking through the gate but Sean Knight eating an ice cream cone? Now, this guy's holding out, and he should be learning his playbook or whatever. But instead, he wants to eat an ice cream cone, and then he goes walking behind where the Saints are standing, and he stands behind offensive coordinator Carl Smith. Well, about 5 minutes after this happened, Jim Mora looks over towards Carl Smith and sees Sean Knight standing there. Well, Coach Mora got so mad, he actually blew his whistle to stop practice, yelled and screamed at Sean Knight, and literally chased him out of the stadium and said, don't you dare come back here until you're ready to practice. True story. Now, here's what happened. He was still holding out when training camp broke, with 2 weeks left to go before the start of the season, okay? It was in the last preseason game. Defensive lineman James Jumpy Gathers broke his knee, or broke his leg. No, I'm sorry, it was a knee. And
broke his knee. That sounds
or kneecap or something. It might have been ACL. I'm not sure. So what happened, you're going to love this part. Sean Knight, when he realized that happened, him and his agent held the Saints hostage for a big signing bonus. And then he showed up when preseason was over, didn't know any of the system. Most of the year turned out to be a backup. And at the end of the year, the Saints traded him to Denver.
And he's still at Denver?
Oh, no. He didn't even last a year in Denver.
That's funny.
Yeah, he was out of football for 2 years, tried to play in the World League of American Football, but that was that, you know. Okay, but here's another one. Let's see. Let's try this one. 1976.
Okay. Saints
were in Vero Beach, Florida.
Okay.
At what's called Dodger Town, where the L.A. Dodgers have their own training camp. And they were out there, and, you know, it gets pretty hot and humid like it does down here. Well, Hank Stram was the head coach. And, Jason, this is not today, if you go to a Saints training camp, the maximum roster is 80 men, and you get a few exemptions, like as many as 10 exemptions, depending on the situation. So the most 90 guys. Okay. Well, back before 1989, there were no exemptions. There was no limit as to how many players you could have in camp. Hank Stram, his first year in Saints, 76, first day at camp had 140 players. Okay? Now, a lot of these guys didn't last a day. But his philosophy was, I don't want to let any guy slip out of my hands that might do something.
That's good philosophy, though.
And, of course, it was a little confusing because some guys had the duplicate numbers, you know, because 140. But they all had their names on their helmets right here in the front. So, anyway, Hank loved doing stuff like that. Well, one of the guys in 76 camp was Joe Gilliam. Joe Gilliam was a quarterback from, Tennessee State, I think East Tennessee State. They called him Jefferson Street Joe because that's the street he lived on in Nashville. Well, he had 5 years with the Steelers, and after 5 years with the Steelers, they let him go. Saints picked him up, and apparently he had a cocaine problem, which was no secret. But Hank Stram felt maybe if he turns his life around, he could be a good backup for Archie Manning. Well, Joe was there the first couple days of training camp, but then one day he disappeared. Couldn't find him. Hank didn't have a clue where he went. And they talked to the police about it, put a missing persons report.
He was in Vegas.
No. What happened, he went out to buy drugs. And because back then in training camp, players got a per diem. Per day they got paid whatever. Not much, but enough to cover their food. Well, one day, about 3 days after he disappeared, Joe Gilliam finally showed up. When the Saints were starting practice at 8:30 in the morning, He was sleeping on the hood of his car outside of the gate at Dodgertown, listening to soul music. And Hank saw that and he couldn't take it. And he cut him. All right? Guess what? Hank gave him a second chance. He came back in 77 to play for the Saints. Guess what happened?
Bombed out on cocaine.
No, well, maybe, but probably. What happened the first day, he refused to come out of his room. Would not leave his room for practice. So Hank just said,
Paranoia.
Yeah, so what happened,
Everybody's out to get me.
Hank just said, look, leave him in there. If he doesn't leave after 24 hours, get the police and throw him out. And that was it for Joe Gilliam's pro football career. Well, he had a brief career in 1983 with the Washington Federals of the USFL, but that was that. So that goes to show you got to stay off that funny stuff, you know.
I was baking a cake, man.
Mm-hmm. Oh, let's go to 1971.
All right.
I'm skipping around to do a little variety today. Archie Manning, his first training camp with the Saints after being drafted in late January.
Mm-hmm.
And his agent, I think his name was Frank Crosath, worked out a deal. I think Archie's contract back then for 5 years was $165,000.
Huh.
Okay? And he got no, I'm sorry. That was his signing bonus, which was really outrageous for that. I'm sorry. Hold on. No, well, it's not 165. I'm wrong. I think it was 65,000.
Okay.
Okay, and a 5-year contract for about 300,000. So he comes to camp about 2 days late because he held out over the contract. You're not going to believe what happened. First practice he participated in, instead of lining up over the center, he lined up over the guard. Because you got to get under the center to get the ball.
Uh-huh.
And when Archie lined up under the guard, all the veterans are laughing. Oh, here's this rookie, got all this money, he doesn't know where to line up. So that was a heck of a way to start his Saints career.
So, okay, explain this to me.
Uh-huh.
Let's say, for instance, I get drafted by the Saints.
Uh-huh.
I'm fresh out of college.
Yeah.
Like the number 5 draft pick.
Uh-huh.
Because number 4 got snatched up by somebody else.
Okay.
And I decide that, no, they should pay me more money.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, in truth, I just don't want to go to training camp.
Okay.
So, there's nothing they can do to them?
Not legally. Because the problem is they've been drafted by that team, but they don't have a contract in place. Okay?
Okay, so once you're drafted, that means you are a part of that team.
Initially.
They just haven't paid you yet.
No, that's right. You can't get paid until you sign a contract. So if you're not in camp and don't have a contract, they don't owe you anything.
Yeah.
And if that team cannot sign you, I think by mid-October, then you go back into the draft pool for the next year, where somebody else could pick you, assuming someone else wanted you. See what I mean?
This is confusing.
No, it's not confusing because it's plain and simple. You're drafted by an NFL team, and from the first round through the 7th round, okay, you have the right, that team has your rights for that year. And if you and the team cannot work out a deal by mid-October, then what happens is you cannot play in the NFL for the rest of that year unless they trade you to another team, and that other team tries to work a deal with you before mid-October. After mid-October, if you can't get a deal worked out, then you can't play in the NFL for that year, I believe, and you have to go back into the draft pool. That's my understanding of how it works. Tell you what we'll do. Let's take our final commercial break. We'll try to give you a radar update and a whole lot more on Bayou Sports Talk. So everybody hang right there, and we'll be back after this. And we are back live and direct on KTIB's Bayou Sports Talk. Jayson Lee next door to me.
Hello, everybody.
And we got about, I'd say, a little over 4 minutes left of talking time before...
There was something I was going to ask you, but I cannot honestly remember it.
Before we close out with the special song I pulled out the Go Home Today on Friday with. And tell you what, we've been a real good, fortunate station over the years. A little over 50 years of broadcasting now. Went on the air Christmas Eve, 1953. Many good people over the years been working here. It's a real good privilege having to work here all this time. And I tell you what, it's kind of interesting when I look back as a kid, if I can digress for a minute there, because I know you probably enjoy radio a whole lot growing up, whether it's listening to music or whatever. But I can still remember when I was 4 years old and this station switched over to country music in '73. And that was a whole lot of fun being through most of the 70s and 80s, having to listen to all that good stuff. And Earl Nightingale, when it's on this station. Quite a historic place we got here. And of course, this is the second oldest building in Thibodaux as well.
What's the first oldest?
I'm not sure. I'm not a good historian, but
Courthouse.
Either the courthouse, maybe it's St. Joseph's Church, I'm not sure. But courthouse was built in 1856, so got a pretty good little town here, to say the least. And it's real interesting, to say the least. Well, let's see. Oh, let me give you a Saints training camp story from the first year, back in '67. Told a few this morning. I'll tell one from '69. I better tell one from the first year, since I promised myself to that. Doug Atkins was a crazy guy at training camp. One time, the Saints had just broke training camp, and they had a secondary training camp on the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain at St. Paul's School. And what happened, some rookies were playing their music up too loud late in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Doug asked them to shut up, and they wouldn't, and they lived above the floor that Doug was on. So what does Doug Atkins do? He gets out his shotgun. They actually let him bring a gun to camp, and he shot 3 bullet holes through the ceiling. And for the rest of the camp, there was no more loud music over there. Yeah. Doug was something else.
That's taking care of business right there.
Big Doug was. And also, oh, goodness, '69. I think I got time to tell this guy about 2 minutes. Ed Kayat was defensive line coach for the Saints back then, under Tom Fears. And what happened, the last day of training camp at Cal Western San Diego, he called all the rookies over to one section of campus who were going to make the squad, and he told them all, he said, "Men, I want you to remember something. You know, y'all remember this football team. Don't think y'all gotten any prettier, or you smell any better, or you look any better just because you play football. And when you get back to New Orleans, there's a lot of people out there who say they're going to love you just because you wear a certain color. But then also there's going to be a lot of women out there who are going to think you're pretty special too. But the day you're not wearing this uniform anymore, you're going to find out the hard way where them people went. And it ain't going to be near your place, I can promise you. So don't get too caught up, because this is just a game."
That's good advice.
Yeah, Ed Kayat was a great guy about that.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and say bye to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful this weekend. Do something special. Make yourself happy. Love the ones you're with.
Mm-hmm.
Hug somebody. Yeah, that's what everybody should do this weekend.
Huh.
If nothing else,
Mm-hmm.
if you can hear my voice,
Mm-hmm.
nothing else, you should just hug somebody this weekend. I know it sounds cheesy, but
Well, real quick, and then we'll have to head out. In Florida, it is specifically against the law to hug somebody against their will.
All right, well,
You know.
all right, if you can't hug them, just shake their hand.
Well, get their permission. You got to get their permission before you hug them.
Try to make a new friend this weekend. Y'all have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
I'm cutting out.
All right. Well, folks, it's time for me to head out as well. It's been a wonderful day, wonderful life for everybody, I hope. And there's a lot of good out there. We want y'all to seek it, okay? It's time for me to head out. And always enjoy what's good in life. Take care, everybody.